Hello everyone, Mr. Hauger here. Hope you're doing great. Today we talk about presidential power. I know you had to sit through the Congress for a while. Felt like we were in Congress with how slow that felt, right? Anyways, we moved to the president today. Next class, we'll do the Supreme Court. So, learning target. What powers are held by the president of the United States? More and more, each president, it feels like. Is it a game? Is it something that politics makes you jump hoops through? Can you do whatever you want as president? This is a really cool video. If you really want some extra credit, I'll throw you a point. Find this news article from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on YouTube questioning campaign finance reform. I can speak English, I'm pretty sure, but I'm stumbling. So, campaign finance video, if you review your thoughts on it, I'll give you a point, either in an email or do it on Canvas. And if someone could post a link, I'll give you a bonus point for being the first person to do that. All right, so today, the Constitution. What powers does the executive branch? Remember, that's the branch that enforces the law. We spent all those days talking about the executive functions of the legislative branch. Those are the ones that make the laws. The Congress, the House, and the Senate. The House and the Senate. Today, President, serving a 4-year term, elected by the ever-popular Electoral College. Fun fact, President Roosevelt was elected 4 times during wartime and actually died in office. Here's the Electoral College map from 2016. President Trump swept the center of the country and a lot of the Southeast in states that were often hotly contested states. He won states like Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Michigan. That ended up being really important for him, as Hillary Clinton won the West Coast and the popular vote, but lost the electorate. Here's how that looks in a different format. The Electoral College is fairly complicated, but was elected to make sure that small states had equal representation and big states like New York and California with the population masses can't swing elections. But there have been 5 U.S. presidents that have lost the popular vote and still become president because of the Electoral College. When I was a kid in high school, we had to study Al Gore and George Bush, who came down in Florida to an equal percentage of the vote, separated by just a couple hundreds. And there were these hanging chads, these papers that weren't properly punched out, and it was a big deal. It ended up being decided by the Supreme Court. So in Article 2, Section 1, the president is set up in detail. The documents that run our country say you need to be 35 years old, you need to be 14 years having lived in the United States recently, and you have to have been born here as a naturalized American citizen. So when Arnold Schwarzenegger won governor of California, some people who were really fans of his, and he used to say California, the people of California, he couldn't have ever served as president because he wasn't born in the United States. He was born, I believe, in Austria. It also lines out succession, that if the president passes away while in office or is removed from impeachment and removed by the Senate after being judged, the vice president becomes president. It also lays out the next 10 to 15 people who will also take over. If you have any questions, by the way, put them in the chat window. Some people lately have been starting organizations to try to push for popular vote to select the president. Those efforts still are in vain, and they have not changed the system yet. The executive branch used to be, this is a little fun fact, you used to be the vice president if you were the runner-up in the presidential election. And you know that if you watched Hamilton over summer break on Disney+. So if the old rules applied, Hillary Clinton would have been the vice president for the past 4 years at time of recording. The president shall earn a salary of $400,000. President Trump has declined his salary. $100,000 for travel, $19,000 for entertainment, and $50,000 for expenses. Do you think it's important that the president should be born in the United States? That's a question I have for you. Put that in the chat box if you'd like to talk about it. We will at the end. Here's how the president's pay has been raised since 1789. It was $25,000, which seems like way more than $400,000 adjusted for inflation. They doubled it up about just about 100 years later. 30 years later, they upped it again. You can see where inflation comes into play here. And then we go to 200,000 in 1969. And recently that was improved and increased. One of the funnest things we'll do this year is an election where we'll have 6 or 7 people in class volunteer to run for office for whatever political party that you'd like to. And it's kind of fun to look at political ads. Later today, you'll be looking at inauguration speeches after the election has been completed, when presidents start their term. But this is pretty funny and also kind of accurate. Tell me if this looks like any commercial you've ever seen.
Hello. It's me, candidate for president. A person with a face. A person whose hand gestures are definitely not weird. My advisors say that these sepia-toned photos of my parents are proof of my human origins. Wherever I go, so do lens flares and fields in sunlight. Machines spark in the foreground when I tour the few remaining places where they manufacture things. Here are a bunch of different people, matched with career signifiers, like a helmet, uniform, or a stethoscope, on the off chance that you identify with one of them.
Isn't that true? You try to cast a wide net. You try to get people on your side and appeal to the masses. Not easy to do. Here's a few great Americans who can't be president, many of which who've passed away, by the way. But people who considered, like, wow, these people might make good presidents in different states or different areas of the country. William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, surely he was a pioneer for religious acceptance back in the day. Adam Smith, the founder of economics, he was Scottish. Charles Darwin, he was English. Albert Einstein, German. All these people were known to be great American influencers. In fact, John Lennon applied for citizenship and was denied. And Air Force One, just as a side note of presidential costs and expenses, it costs $206,000 an hour to run Air Force One because of all the security and special precautions that we take. You take the oath of office, according to the Constitution. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute. I got ahead of myself. Sometimes going so fast is not the best. I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And there's our two most recent presidents getting sworn in. It's the same speech, so the video, you already kind of know what it's going to be, I suppose. It also says the president has the power to be the commander-in-chief over the armed forces and the military. He has the power to pardon people and grant reprieves. Over the summer of 2020, we've seen a few more pardons from President Trump. President Bush here is seen saluting members of the Coast Guard. He did a lot of visits to the military through his terms in office when he was president. You also get to appoint federal judges to the Supreme Court and ambassadors to different countries. You also get to fill vacancies that occur if there are recesses in the Senate. And as you might know, appointing conservative or liberal justice to the Supreme Court can change the way a lot of different policies look in the United States. The president also gives information in the State of the Union in a speech, receives dignitaries and foreign ambassadors when they visit the country, and executes all the laws that are passed by Congress faithfully. And they get to commission all the military officers as well. Right on. We already did the congressional assignment. And I have a question for you. We can talk about this in the chat box if you want to pretend to be president for a second. If there's a conflict or a target, excuse me. Remember when a sneeze didn't scare you? Anyways, there's a conflict or a target far away, and there's a problem. You can send in troops or you can use drones. What are the pros and cons to each? One of the president's most important roles is commander-in-chief, so what do? Well, President Obama, one of the things he really expanded was drone strikes. 2 terms, he executed 540 drone strikes, and he had expanded the use and the way we use them and how many people operate them in our country. That's 10 times more than President Bush did during his 8 years in office. These are kind of interesting things that you don't necessarily talk about or think about. What's important to presidents becomes important to the people of the United States, at least in the way we discuss and expect and hope for what they will achieve in their term. It's an election year this year as we record this, so I want you to choose 2 recent presidents. Look at this document that I just created for you. Yes, I made it myself in a Google Doc. That's not the one I wanted to show you. No bother. I can load it for you, but I'll just upload it to Canvas. I uploaded links to YouTube speeches for all of these visual presidents you see on the screen. Pick 2. Any 2 you want. I'm not going to pick them for you based on your own interest. Watch at least 5 minutes of each and fill out the form on what was important in these speeches and what takeaways you have after seeing them. I, as a person probably age 12 and up, always remember watching these speeches with great amazement and interest of what they will say and how they'll be received on TV and in the crowd. So that's the assignment today. I'm going to put that up on Canvas. Let's have a discussion for a few minutes, and then you can dive into your work. Let's get that going right now.